Chapter 11. The Cobalt Migration. Julian Phillips. Sept. 3 2018. With Tom Leong. All rights reserved. Images from Pixabay Online. Audio from the Free Sound Project, online. Please enjoy new chapters on Facebook weekly. Chapter 11. The meeting room at the middle of a long, wide, industrial-looking hallway, was large enough to seat 6 to 10 persons, at a big and wide mahogany table. The place was sparse of much furniture or decorations. There were 3 windows, bleeding a pale outer light of the same day, 3 months later. Much later than Charles' first encounter with Cindy May, from special programs. The Shasta Mountain Air Base encounter was fresh in his physical memory, and hers as well. And now here she was, seated across from him, at what had then become their 3rd meeting with the Pentagon's Commander James A. Anderson. Cindy May smiled at him, shyly mocking his manhood. Charles could only smile back, avoiding her deep brown eyes, thumbing through the notebooks and documents he had with him. Was this woman a trained fighter jet pilot? Cindy was officially and rigorously not interested in the Airman First Class Charles Corso's attention. Early in her own career, the necessities of advanced training to operate these amazing flying warships had taught Captain Cynthia Akiva May, Special Forces Program Specialist, to keep a hunky monkey like Corso at more than arm's length. Nice arms, Charles thought quietly to himself. Nice hands.
Pay attention, please. This that I am about to share with you is classified secret by the Pentagon and all law enforcement, military, under my command.
The group at the table again turned attention towards Anderson's presentation. At the top of the table, present were James Anderson, Charles Corso, Cynthia May, Major Koita, a mission navigator and co-pilot, Lieutenant Kevin Scott, a mission engineer, Staff Sergeant Ron Davidson, and Major Tony Smith, a medical doctor and engineer. For lack of a superior distinction, this was one of 5 similar assemblies, organized under the U.S. Air Force Authority to work in a new space program. Also present was a very large, almost portly man, who was not introduced, and mostly concealed his face beneath the brim of his large hat, only looking down. No one knew who he was, and no one offered to say so. He had a large jaw, almost as if a minor deformity or unusually formed, and big hands. The man was in fact the esteemed and honorable Senior A. Brattles, the Jesuit priest from the Santa Fe Diocese, a Catholic archbishop, answerable to the Pope at that time, the year being 1998, and the Pope being much beloved of those years.
He was born on the planet Pluto. In a galaxy far, far away. No, not really. It was Mars. The planet Mars, where he came from.
Corso of course did not recognize his own baptizer, now of course much older. Brattles was by then more than 80 years of age.
So, this here is a detailed star map of the local Milky Way galaxy star systems,
Anderson said, continuing his presentation to those in the room. Captain May was the only woman in the room, and the only ethnic African American. Anderson displayed the map he was showing them on a large screen video. He applied various technology available at the time, to explain the Jack Killer program. He seemed sometimes unable to smile or laugh, as a tall, gaunt-looking Caucasian man, a very serious commanding officer with government clearance to administer the new program. Jack Killer. What was it, with a name like that? Training to work in orbit? Is this National Aeronautics and Space Administration? But wait. Jack Killer? Killer the Giant Killer? Jack and the Beanstalk? Once upon a time, Jack's mother sent her son to market, with the family cow, to sell the cow and bring home the money to pay rent on their home. But along the way, Jack was fooled into trading the valuable family oxen for a handful of beans, believing the beans to have magical powers. And then there was the giant.
18, 16,
You can see as we
5.
focus the star map on this very small portion of our Milky Way galaxy, here,
Commander Anderson said. He used a small laser pointer that projected a sharp red dot on the video screen he was showing them.
I know you are educated people, or you wouldn't be here. But understand if you will. This is the local galactic bubble, the Milky Way, where we live. And here you see the usual stellar landmarks, the Sagittarius spiral, the Alpha Centauri constellation, and the Sol here, and the local planets.
Major Da, the Vietnamese navigator, lifted his hand with a question.
Sir, please, may I?
Go ahead, Koi.
The blue dot is Earth, then, sir?
Yes, pilot. That's correct. It takes a moment for the map to turn from these distant formations to show us home again, but it's still there. Now you can see it. The blue star, if you will, there.
The star map was more sophisticated than any of them had ever seen, computerized and manipulated to all directions, via a computer. Although Charles had studied the local galaxy stars in university, he generally had no use for the information. Indeed, vast and even endless information. It was not his area of service. But now it looked as if he somehow needed to pay attention, if nothing else. Why would I even care about stars as far away as Alpha Centauri or Andromeda? The blue dot, then. The blue dot. Welcome home. It was for the group there in the small meeting room, 2 hours into the current session, and they were all restless and even uncomfortable. The base at Mount Shasta was almost new, but within only a few years would be closed down, and replaced by a large industrial manufacturing plant and buildings. The meeting room was underground, but not obviously in use for much more than a U.S. Military Veterans Association.
So, this over here is known as the Cygnus star system. The so-called Nephilim supposedly call that stellar bubble group of planets and stars home. But as far as you are concerned, the Nephilim are immoral and terrifying. And as far as you're concerned, it doesn't exist. Because all of this is speculative information, which you will be using in the program. To be clear, that star group is unanswerably distant, so far from us that it would take a photon 50 million years at light speed to reach Earth to even become a twinkle in your mother's eye before you were born.
Latest weather data transmission from Space Station Zebra.
I'm Commander Anderson, sir, please.
Said the co-pilot navigator Koita, again lifting his hand. He was right-handed, and as a pilot and navigator among friends, never underhanded, a straight-up airman and solid player on the brand new Killer Jack team. Charles was for one, very pleased to have him on the job. They all knew they would be working together.
Are the Nephilim our enemy here? As far as the Jack program?
Go ahead, Koi.
Oh, Charlie. Who are those guys?
Good question. The answer is, if anyone ever finds one, yes.
See? See what I mean? Over there.
But in general our only proof of their existence is, well, shall we say, esoteric, at best.
This crap is starting to bug me. I mean, really. Who are those guys?
But I'm not showing you these maps here, for that. The only species we here on Earth may ever be concerned with, are known as the Raelians, or the Raelian species.
Who are those guys?
The reason is, if you have ever heard of these alien abductions, it is highly likely those crimes could only be accomplished by the Raelian type, at least as far as any actual military knowledge.
Who are those guys?
Which is entirely speculative, and mostly the work of certain Air Force's services that have been gathered deep space data for your entire lifetime.
Who are those guys? Who are those guys?
There was a pause as Corso, Cynthia May, Coita, Senior A. Brattles, Kevin Scott, Tony Smith, and Ron Davidson tried to learn what Anderson was telling them, each in his own way.
I guess it must be true then. Men really are from Mars, and women are from planet Venus.
Cynthia May said, jokingly, hoping to break the sobering mood in the room.
Santa Fe, New Mexico. I was born there. It's where I'm from.
Pluto here, Ron Davidson, the mechanic, joked. Anderson continued.
Pilot? Well, the deal here is, teamwork needs you to understand what the new program is going to require of you. The Raelian species, and the alien abductions, are not motivated by some noble purpose, or some highly ethical undertaking of the gods or anything. We may search for explanations, or even need explanations, or somehow understand the motivations involved. But this is not a well-lighted area. The Raelians are bizarre, and are known to kidnap physical beings, like animals, but including human beings. Basically, it's a fate worse than any hell you could imagine, because you will be frozen unconscious, then transported as a body via light ship to very distant worlds, where you will be revitalized, or unfrozen, to serve as a slave, or for experiments, or whatever else they come up with. Even at galactic distance. The practice is outlawed by powers of the grand universe, so to speak. So the Raelians are not our friends. This again is very rare.
Charles' thoughts drifted back in his mind to what his father, Philip, had told him, even years before. Philip told him privately that his mother, Melu, who they loved much, claimed to have been abducted by aliens in an orbiting spacecraft just ahead of the bombings at Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
It's no secret, Captain Cindy May here with Special Forces, is the granddaughter of Bill and Betty White, a Boston area interracial couple, who claimed to be abducted by an alien spaceship, in the 1960s. Charles Corso here also has family with similar reports, now almost 50 years ago. Major Ta, and Ron, are here because of their work in jet aircraft service for the Air Force, that included random and unexpected interaction with what we call UFOs.
I saw a UFO from the pilot's chair in an F-7X experimental fighter, and I was grounded when I told the truth about it. They told me I was crazy.
3, 2.
What about you, Tony? Were you abducted by the aliens, too?
There was a pause. Smith, a sober-looking tough guy flight engineer and medical doctor, just grinned.
No, I never was. The big secret is, I'm actually an alien from another planet myself. In disguise.
From another planet, me true real me true self. No one can know it. In secret. So to be so sure of me a fighter pilot for you? Eh? So he must be an extraterrestrial immigrant. Eh? That is no funny not funny. So he must be an extraterrestrial immigrant. Eh? That is no funny not funny.